against. Rightio. So Mallorca International against. Everybody
In favor.
for.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Back here at past 11. So a little bit longer. Okay? Better if you can get to your 5 minutes, if we can start 5 minutes earlier, that would be wonderful. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much. We're missing one member of the team. Oh, you are. There you are. Welcome back, everybody, and super on time. Aren't we doing well? Welcome to the second debate. This is for the first and second place in the competition, so it is the big debate of the day, of the last 3 months, actually. Before I start going into detail, I would like to give a reminder that I did before the first debate. Please, everybody that's been on the phone, make sure that it's either off or in silent mode. No conversation allowed during the debates, that's quite standard in our competition. And a reminder that you all know the rules. First bell, you start, 1 minute, points of information can start, bell for 4 minutes, points of information stop, 5 minutes, that's it, finished. Summary, no introductions. I would just like to mention, it's very important in such an important debate, that keep in mind the points of information cannot be longer than 15 seconds. 15 seconds for points of information. As you can see that I can't see you if you put your hand up. So when you put up a hand up for points of information, please say loudly, points of information, so that there's no misunderstanding. Further to that, we've got Green Valley with us today, Clara Kunsten, Juliana Micheli, and Jan Kuna, and Mallorca International, Irina, you've given me that name again, Borsaluki, something like that. Yes, sorry, my apologies. Amy Van Squire and Ella Moore. Timekeeper, once again, is David Tittle. Unfortunately, like a number of others, our second timekeeper is not well. Jury spokesman for today, you already know, is Paul Aubrey, and with him today are Sarah Follett and Carlos Vesta. Motion for today. Central banking digital currency will have a negative impact on the global economy. I'll say that once again for some of us older ones. Central banking digital currency will have a negative impact on the global economy. After the draw, for the motion, debating for the motion, Green Valley, against the motion, Mallorca International. With all that said, over to the timekeeper.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have first speaker, please, for Green Valley? Ready?
Yeah. Good morning, honorable judges, distinguished guests, and members of the holding team. My name is Clara Kunze, and together with Julia Micheli and Ilan Kuner, we are going to prove beyond any doubt that central banking digital currency will indeed have a very negative impact on the global economy. But first of all, we would like to thank Rotary for this exciting opportunity and also wish the opposing team the very best of luck. To go back to the motion, our position is based on 3 solid arguments. Firstly, I'm going to explain why CBDC is not safe or secure. Secondly, Julia will demonstrate how the central bank monopoly will create alternative, unregulated markets to the harm of the global economy. Finally, Elon will show the negative impact on the existing banking stability to provide credit. Now, the central banking digital currency will by definition gather and centralize very sensitive data important to the proper functioning of banking systems and global economic activities in one central database. Well, this may sound very logical and convenient, doesn't it? However, one critical aspect that provokes our urgent attention is safety and security. No system, and I repeat, no system, no matter how sophisticated, is resistant to violations or mistakes. We don't need to look far for evidence. Recent history shows numerous examples of data breaches and cyber attacks, which have disabled.
Accept it. Are you choosing to admit the fact that our traditional banking system also has security risks?
Well, they don't, but they do have security risks. Let me tell that later. Thank you. For example, the IT Governance UK blog listed countless examples of digital institutions to healthcare systems. As you can see, 2023 has so far witnessed nearly 6 billion data breaches. 6 billion! Let's consider the recent data breaches at Air Europa or IB Salute, again showing the harm of digitalization. Are we to believe that CBDC will be immune to such incidents? Are we to believe that sensitive data referring to international banking, cross-border trade, or even the ordinary citizen's accounts will be safe? Absolutely not.
Point of information.
Accepted?
CBDCs are constantly evolving, and there actually is evidence supporting that it will help cross-border transactions.
Well, just imagine, you transact your money, and suddenly your money is gone. Well, this is the risk of CBDC, and you don't want that, do you? To go back to my line of argument, there are risks of data breaches or cyber attacks. The consequences of such a violation within the core of global economic activities would be catastrophic. Transactions interrupted, payments delayed, and suddenly your money is gone. These are the risks. These are the realities if CBDC becomes the standard. Just imagine the chaos. Companies, they would break down, and the backbone of economic stability would tremble, even collapse. It would be much worse than the 1929 Wall Street crash. And it's not just speculation, it's already happening. Last year, in January 2022, the digital version of Eastern Caribbean Cash suffered a 2-month outage due to technological issues. If a minor system experienced such weakening setback, can we responsibly place the weight of the global economy on the uncertain shoulders of digital currency? In conclusion, the introduction of central banking digital currency shows a clear and present danger to the global economy. The risks, they far outweigh the promised benefits, and the potential of catastrophic failures due to security breaches.
That's time.
Okay. Thank you.
First speaker for Mallorca International, please. Arena, when you're ready.
Money is all about trust. Whether it's the banking trust, the currency, or the format, it does not matter. Money will always be about trust. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, opposing team members, and audience. My name is Irina Patsuliko, and I stand before you today to discuss the positive impacts that central banking and digital currency will have on our economy. Today, I will talk you through the introduction of CBDC, which will offer enhanced privacy control and transparency to our current economy. Our second speaker, Amy, will continue by considering the adoption of central banking and digital currency as a more effective, stable, and reliable economical project. Our third speaker, Ella, will conclude by stating the inevitability of change and the transformative potential of CBDC. Dalai Lama, globally renowned for being an advocate for peace, once said, "A lack of transparency results in distrust and a sense of insecurity." If we do not have trust in this economy, the results are disastrous. What we crave in an economy is security, a surrounding where people's money is safe. I do not stand before you today to present CBDC as the safest economical project in history. It is true that some privacy concerns might come up one day or another. However, if we are taking about potential security risks in CBDC, we also need to acknowledge the security risks that are already in existence. As the speaker before mentioned, these risks exist. However, CBDC will help prevent them. For example, fears of major attacks on banks have been rising since the successfully stolen $81 million from the central bank in Bangladesh in February 2021. Shortly afterwards, Russian central bank's officials disclosed that hackers stole more than $31 million from the country's central bank. Then, more than 318,000 credit card fraud reports came out only in the first third of 2023.
Don't you think with the increase in hackers and technology that more and more risk will come to CBCB?
I understand your point, but I will continue about this in my speech. So, knowing that these frauds and crimes exist, can we really say that privacy concerns should stop implementation of CBDC and that CBDC will unravel the country's economy? Absolutely not. Is there adults here who does not know at least one person who hasn't suffered from bank fraud? Well, here are some of the strategies currently taking place to ensure that CBDC will keep our economy safe. 130 countries, which are 98% of global GDP.
Information?
Yeah.
One of these advanced ways to keep information safe is the KYC principle, and it's been proven that with nominees, it's legally been able to access this information outside of central banks.
I don't really understand you. No, because it just, can you repeat?
Yeah, of course, don't worry. One of the ways that they're protecting information is through the Know Your Customer principle, the KYC principle, and it's with nominee agreements. There are still ways, and history has provided many times that with corruption, there's ways for outsiders and businesses and individuals to access this very information.
I understand your point, but we as a community, we keep progressing. And in my speech, we talk about how CBDC might prevent these attacks in the future. The measures being taken to safeguard our privacy are extensive and far-reaching. Potential privacy risks will not outweigh the potential benefits. So let's not rush to conclusions too quickly. Central bank digital currency may rise privacy risks, but money is all about trust. CBDC help society regain this. Progress is vital. CBDC will not damage the global economy, but rather help us establish a more secure and stable global economy, the economy of our future. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, please. Okay.
Ready. Good morning. My name is Julia Michele, and I am the second speaker of the Green Valley team. But before moving on, I would like to address some of the points that the opposing team has just mentioned. Adriana, you mentioned how money is trust, but how can we trust something that we didn't ourselves secure our trust in, something that the decision didn't come from ourselves, something monetary, something from the government? How can we trust institutions that we didn't self-pay for example, with commercial banking systems where we ensure our trust by paying for it? Now, going back to my line of argument, our first speaker, Clara, has just explained how CBDCs will prove to be beneficial for the economy. How CBDCs are not beneficial for the economy because they're not safe nor secure. And I will be adding on to that by exploring how CBDCs will give rise to an alternative, unregulated market that will pose detrimental effects to our global society that we know today. At present, we have the following entities providing financial services, such as commercial banks, central banks, and alternative options, such as cryptocurrency. Central banks are financial institutions which are responsible for providing and regulating the money supply, controlling interest rates, and supporting and stabilizing the country's currency. They do not, however, make use, and they are not used for dealing with the individualized citizens, which is the role of commercial banks, such as La Caixa, Sabadell, BBVA, commonly once found that we know here in Spain. Surprisingly, when we introduce CBDCs, this entire landscape will considerably change. According to the World Monetary Fund, an estimated 90 countries are going to be considering implementing CBDC now forth. Now, of those 90 countries, most countries, such as China, Jamaica, and the Bahamas, are opting for the retail version, which just means providing the individual jobs to the people, which is what the role that commercial banks play right now.
For your information,
Accepted.
while you're saying that it may be an alteration on commercial banks, are you not then proving the point that CBDCs are being successfully instigated in such countries?
They're not successfully being instigated. These are all trials. Nothing has proven the success yet. Now, to go back to my line of argument. This seems to be the trend. What I mean by this seems to be a trend, I'm referring to the fact that countries are opting for the retail versions seems to be the trend. And it's paramount to the economic monopoly of...
You said that the CBDC, where they've been introduced, they haven't provided any positive impacts. But in my speech, I didn't say, but Nigeria has introduced the Naira, and it's already rising economic ranks in the country.
It may be rising economic ranks, but that is just one example. Out of 90 countries that are considering implementing CBDCs. Now, as I was saying, this trend can paramount to a monopoly of the economic sector. And yes, I said monopoly. A monopoly has never and will never be healthy for an economy because it leads to a lack of competition. And a lack of competition in the financial sector with central banks being monopolized will lead to stagnations, limited innovations, and inefficiencies beyond the means that we can control. An example of this, the failed prohibition of alcohol in the 1920s in the United States. Where do you think these ladies over here got their beer from? From the mafia. Again, proving to us that where there is demand, there will be a supplier. There will be alternative markets. There will be parallel, not necessarily considered black markets, but parallel markets that are outside the regulatory scrutiny. The potential risks of unregulated markets are unseen to us, and they show that they are detrimental to our economy. We strongly believe thank you. Good morning, honourable judges, esteemed guests, and members of the opposing team. My name is Emily Dunn-Squire, and today I am going to be discussing CBDC's position as a more efficient, reliable, and stable banking system. We are here today to argue whether or not central banking digital currencies will have a negative impact on the global economy. Well, how can we be so blind as to solely argue that they will have a negative impact when there is undeniable evidence of them being more efficient and stable? In 2008, just 15 years ago, the world suffered a shift in the global economy that almost completely collapsed the financial system as we know it today. This was the global recession. It was caused by countless interlinked factors and led to severe economic decline, job losses, drops in production and trade, and a collapse in the housing market, as well as many other catastrophic consequences. Now, this is just one of many examples of how our current financial system has failed us. And we have decades worth of evidence of it causing devastating losses. So can we really deny that it might be time for a change? That it might be in the best interest of us all to move to a more reliable, efficient, and stable system? Well, this system is central banking digital currencies. Efficiency is a core belief in our society. It is a driving force in the way our world is run. And CBDCs have the potential to push us forward in the sector as opposed to holding us back, as my fellow speaker Ella will elaborate on further. Due to the amount of manual processes and regulatory compliance involved in traditional banking, commercial banks are not nearly as efficient as CBDCs. CBDCs have instant settlement and real-time configuration, and the time wasted trying to access and move money could be cut in half. Now let me direct your attention to mobile phones. In Southeast Asia, it is thought that nearly 60% of the population...
Yes? You mentioned that it will speed up these processes that could be cross-border, that could be within transactions. But these are logistical issues that can also be adapted with our current system. We don't need to just completely script this and go to a new one. We can just simply improve our current one.
While I understand this, that is only one of the possible improvements that it could have. And are we really saying that we're not taking the opportunity for improvement and change? As I was saying, 60% of people in Southeast Asia are thought to have mobile phones. And another study showed that 50% of the population remain unbanked. This is 350 million people without access to what many of us might not even consider a luxury. So now think, if CBDCs became available to the population, millions of lives could be improved. Just like that. And these rewards will not just be felt by individuals.
Information?
Yes?
You mentioned how these millions of lives will be improved, but these people are unbanked. These people, how are they going to do this if they don't have a phone? And historically, central banks never deal with individual accounts, and no source has proven to us otherwise.
The amount of people with access to mobile phones is increasing every year, and this would improve the amount of people with access to CBDCs. If we were to embrace change and risk the move to CBDCs, we would not be disappointed. CBDCs are not only more efficient, but more stable, and they could reduce the risk of another incident like the global recession. In times of crisis, CBDCs could provide central banks with additional tools needed to stabilize inflation rates and respond to economic challenges. CBDCs are not subject to many fluctuations in exchange and interest rates, and they can be designed to hold a stable value. How many individuals, how many families have suffered recently from the sharp rise in interest rates and subsequent increased mortgage repayments? How many people now struggle to put food on their table, or worse still, have their houses repossessed, as shown in this graph? CBDCs could and would provide stability and security for its users. A change of this scale does come with risks, as with all things, but if we don't embrace change, we will never grow, as individuals or as a society. A huge portion of the evidence we hold about CBDCs promises positive results. So many lives could be improved and risks eradicated. So with promises of a prosperous future, can we really still stand here and say that the global economy will be permanently damaged? Thank you.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Elon, and as the third speaker of the Green Valley team, I'm going to further prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the CBDC will have a negative impact on our global economy. But first, let me address the points made by the opposing team. Emmy, their second speaker, mentioned the humanitarian issues that are facing today and how CBDCs will help. What I'd like to address is this motion is not about humanitarian issues, it is about the global economy directly. Now, back to our motion. Clara, our first speaker, talked about the vulnerability of CBDCs to system errors and cybersecurity attacks. Julia, our second speaker, talked about the potential of an unregulated market outbreak as more and more people seek to find new ways to keep their money anonymous. But I'd like to talk about the banking world directly. Historically, central banks have not been responsible for the provision of loans to individuals or businesses alike, and nothing in the currently available sources implies that this will change with CBDCs. Now yes, CBDCs will act as an attractive alternative to traditional bank deposit accounts. As such, a cash outflow can be predicted, thereby negatively affecting the balance sheets of these privately owned banks. This will result in restricted access to vital credit and loan products for businesses and individuals who rely on these for things such as mortgages, capital needs, and long-term investment decisions. This means that jobs, overall spending, and the global economy will be negatively impacted. I'd like to take one of the 80 countries as an example. Sweden, a country with a growing interest in the adoption of CBDCs. Concerns have already been raised towards the potential impact on credit availability, as banks have shown apprehension that the digital currency system will worsen their ability to give out loans to businesses. This will equal a potential hindrance in economic growth. I ask you, do we really want to return to seeing headlines like this? Sorry. Now, these headlines will not only affect Europeans and Americans, but all over the world. I'm saying that because this was an example of an American bank in 2008.
Point of interest?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but you mentioned before in your speech you mentioned that CBDC will bring no change, I think, if I understood you correctly. But CBDC will bring more consumer protection and financial stability, and it will start countering the financing. It will start both them.
Yes. While they can work together in synchronicity, it will be a much harder and more difficult ecosystem because transferring money from digital currencies to actual cash from private banks to CBDCs will be much more complicated. I invite you all to think about the global ramifications of such a move. We're not only talking about the hundreds of thousands of jobs within the banking industry being lost, but the factories being built, and the bridges being constructed, and the thousands of other projects currently being supported by credit facilities that would undoubtedly suffer or close down altogether. At this point, it is worth mentioning that most of these privately owned banks are run by pension funds and charitable organizations who rely on these profit shares to aid their ongoing members' needs. Now, do we really want to see this income stream significantly constrained? In conclusion, we must not overlook the potential ramifications on the existing financial system and the global economy as a whole. As the direct failure in the reduction of number of privately owned banks will severely limit the diversity and availability of much needed credit, ultimately hindering the development of worldwide enterprises and overall economic growth. I ask you, is this really a risk worth taking? Thank you.
Change is inevitable, but transformation is a choice, says author Heather Amara. CBDC is that transformation, but also a controversial matter that people have been debating for years. Secure or dangerous, stable or volatile. Many are skeptical of the changes in CBDC that it will bring. However, the time has come to take a leap. Good morning, esteemed judges and members of the opposing team. My name is Ella Moore, and I'm here today to prove that CBDC will not damage our global economy, but rather boost it with the innovation it promises. Firstly, let's not be so quick to condemn CBDC, a potential financial savior, when our current economy is crumbling. Our traditional banking has become a crutch, and our economy is limping. There's far too many problems with our current system. Slow transactions, high costs, rising inflation, inaccessibility, and more. Businesses and individuals alike are suffering. And for what? For decades, we've been squabbling over the negatives of CBDC without acknowledging the benefits of CBDC, and they're revolutionary. To paint a picture, let's go back 66 years to the US, or even 46 years ago to Spain, when credit cards were first introduced. It meant big things for the global economy at the time, boosting spending and revenue tenfold. Similar to the coin-to-credit card transition, adopting CBDC is digitalization and will have many of the same positive impacts.
Point of information?
Yes?
I want to respond to that businesses and individuals seek financial anonymity when they're dealing with transfers and transactions.
That can all be offered by CBDC. I would like to remind you that it's constantly being improved in projects, and it's not a definite negative impact. It will simplify cross-border transactions, increase efficiency and financial inclusion, lower costs. However, as we've already established, CBDC also brings new things to the table, such as smart contracts. Smart contracts are self-executing contracts with the terms of agreement between seller and buyer written in the code. This allows for self-efficiency as they operate automatically, not needing negotiators or third parties to ensure the terms of the agreement are met. The code itself reinforces the rules. It allows cost savings, reduced risk management, and much, much more. My fellow speakers and I have made clear that traditional banking is holding us back, while CBDC will propel us forwards. So why are we not embracing change with open arms?
Point of information.
Before you mentioned that it simplifies trans-border action, but how can you prevent security risks?
I think you undermine how technologically advanced we are. There are countless measures to ensure that security risks like that are mitigated. Well, we do always admit that there's going to be some question about privacy, as many are wary of government overreach into their financial lives. However, over the years, there have been countless projects dedicated to designing a CBDC that fights the supposed security risks that the other team has complained about. Consequently, the adoption of CBDC is not just a smart choice, but rather a strategic move. Eventually, CBDC will become a reality. It'll become integral across borders, across the globe. Now, it's only a question on whether or not we can accept this, or whether or not we will lag behind. The countries leading in CBDC advancements will shape the trajectory of the future. Their financial decisions will set the tone for how economies around the world will operate. Adopting CBDC could mean the difference between an explosion of economic growth or continued economic decay. Accordingly, CBDC is vital in shaping a nation's standing and economic future. Countries should be seizing the opportunity to adopt CBDC, recognizing it as a key driver of their economic relevance and growth. In short, CBDC is not just a currency, but a gateway to a future where the economy is thriving and quality of life is better than ever. So I urge you, judges, opposing team, fellow team members, and audience, to embrace it. Let's not dig ourselves a financial grave. We might lose something good, but we've gained something far better. A better economy and a better world. Thank you.
Teams, thank you very much. You have 2 minutes to prepare your summing up argument. Teams, thank you very much. I have the lead speaker from my Open International Group. 2 minutes, Ella, when you're ready.
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Adopting CBDC is that first step towards a future where our economy isn't merely surviving, but flourishing. We must not cower in the shadow of change, but embrace it with open arms. Because the evidence of CBDC success is overwhelming, the benefits undeniable. Let us choose transformation over stagnation, progress over peril, growth over decay. It is not the other way around, as the other team has assumed. CBDC is not a harbinger of financial chaos. No, with its transparency meaning trust and safety, CBDC is rather a beacon of hope. Hope for a better economy and a better world. Past economic crises, like the 2008 recession, serve as stark reminders of the fragility of our current system. CBDC is not just an alternative, but a necessity and a lifeboat. The matter of CBDC isn't just a fleeting trend or simply a debate motion. It's a solution that constantly evolves and improves on its issues surrounding loans or cyber attacks. It reflects the values and needs of our 21st century society, one that values efficiency, inclusivity, and resilience. As we as humans evolve, and our technology, our infrastructure, our languages evolve, it wouldn't make sense to stay static economically. So let us all embrace a new economic system with CBD at its core. It will push us forwards and not result in stagnation. Thank you.
we have talked about the quality of life. They have talked about the quality of life. But I would like to talk about 10 to 15 to 20 years of constant switching between our banking system to the CBDC that will definitely impact our global economy. Not to mention that CBDCs have the same standard of security as central banks do, other than they might be a little bit more transparent. As our first speaker, Clara, said, and I quote, no system, I repeat, no system is free, is completely safe from digital setbacks. Now, Ella mentioned a good point, a crutch. Our current financial system is a crutch. But I ask you, what do you do with a broken leg? You let it heal for 1 to 2 months, and you're back to frolic in the fields. You don't go into some experimental surgery that may completely ruin your life. And this is what we view as CBDCs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kate.
Well, thank you very much again. 2 wonderful debates. Congratulations to both teams. I know that the jury will be out now to give thought to it, difficult decisions. And there's no rush, you've only got 15 minutes. In the meantime, I ask for the lights to go on, please. Thank you. And can I ask John Robbins to come forward? So it's now your turn, just for a little while. What we have is, both teams, please stay where you are. And we will have a question and answer session. This does not form part of the competition, but it gets you all involved. John, over to you.
It's all made for short people, this mic. Sorry, we couldn't afford a comedian, so you got me. Those of you who've been to debates before, and all of the competitors who are sitting out there clearly have, we start with a question. Did they answer, if you had won the, to argue in favour or against, as you did, you argued in favour. Did they get your side of the argument that you would have prepared had you lost?
The first point we did touch on, but the second 2 we actually didn't really consider.
Okay.
So it was a
And you guys, did they catch your points?
I would say so.
Yeah.
A big part of ours was transparency, and how the CBDCs would help transparency.
Okay. You guys watch the videos.
I talked a little bit about the KYC and like as well as their advanced encryption methods and other things, but pretty much it was in the same area.
Okay. You can't hear them? Sorry. Pass it around. Can you just repeat what you said?
Sure. I mean, we touched on the same areas, but we thought about the know your customer principle, which I think I may have brought up, and also the advanced encryption methods. But it was generally in the same areas, arguments for the against.
So I know you guys said last time we met at your school that you watched the opposition's videos. What did you pick up when you watched these guys? And did your mum watch the video with you?
My mom definitely commented on my videos this morning, saying only good things. But we definitely watched their videos. They're very good competition, so we had to study them very well. And yeah, I mean, we had to prepare quite a bit for this debate, and we're very glad to be here.
I was going to ask you guys, what did you think of digital currency before you had to research it?
At the beginning, when we started preparing, we weren't feeling very confident because we weren't actually 100% sure what it was. So
That's most of the audience.
So the first, I think, week, we did just a lot of research to try and work out what it was before we could start putting our points together.
Okay, good. To the audience, has anyone got any questions for these guys? Yeah, pass it around. I feel like the guy on the game shows.
So something most of us would have wished to know is a short explanation of what it is specifically, because for a lot of us, we don't know about this kind of stuff, if I'm being honest. So we would have been glad if we had a short explanation beforehand, so we really knew what it was about, because a lot of us were very confused with the subject.
Yeah, well, I think that covers pretty much everybody in the room. Does someone want to give an explanation?
Oh, give an explanation is different.
Go on. Well, both of you.
Yeah.
So the CBDC, it's already hard to say, I've said it so much, is pretty much a centralized blockchain of cryptocurrency run directly by the central bank, which means that it is run by the government instead of privately owned banks run by individuals.
Yeah, like privately, like meaning commercial banks, like I mentioned in my argument.
So your money would be tied to the central bank of the government and of the country that you're in, instead of things like Bancamat or Caixa or BBVA.
And also, they wouldn't produce any cash anymore. They would just produce the digital version. So you wouldn't have any physical cash anymore. So you could just use your phone to like pay anything in any store.
Okay, so give us the difference between Bitcoin. Does anyone want to explain the difference between Bitcoin and central bank currency?
The other team might have something to add after, but CBDCs are like given out and controlled by the central bank, so they wouldn't like change, like they wouldn't shift as much because it's like directly owned by the country and the like central banks and government.
I mean, Bitcoin is sort of a little similar to like cryptocurrency. It's something similar. It's like a blockchain, but it's not authorized by the government, which is basically what central banks and CBDC is. Like central meaning everything is overruled by the government. They're the people that organize it, and we kind of just have to abide with that. And Bitcoin, anybody can go, and I'd also like to add, it's considered not money because it's not considered secure.
So in your research, did any of you look to the tax implications of central government coinage? Yeah, but no one mentioned it. What did you come up with then? With the benefits of taxation on central government? Well, yeah, if the government, if you don't have any cash, then you can't put it under your mattress. Yeah. That's why I've got that back. Anyone else got any questions over here? I'm getting some exercise, aren't I?
Did you guys touch on to the fact that you both use the same evidence? Like, you both mentioned the 2008 recession. Did you guys catch on that? Because no one mentioned it.
Thank you. Who wants to answer that?
If you're referring to like, I was stuttering a lot, but I was referring to the 1920s when they were abolishing, he mentioned it in his summation as a point that they said, but I mentioned that they were no longer allowing alcohol as an example of like an alternative markets that were coming up. And he mentioned it in his summation.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a difficult issue, and both of us did mention it, and it worked for both of us because it can work in favor of CBDCs as something that won't happen again, and against CBDCs because it was a very scary moment for everyone, and with the shift to CBDCs, it could happen again.
We did actually notice that it was like a reference to the same things, and it was actually like a pleasant surprise because it meant that we like knew about it and we could actually do points of interest on it, which I missed out on. But it was a pleasant surprise.
The point of interest that you didn't get to make, what was it?
I think the second speaker said something about the Bahamas, and how it. Wait, were we arguing that it was bad or good? Good. She was arguing that maybe it was like negative in the Bahamas or something, but we had actual statistics somewhere that it did like improve inflation or something like that, but I couldn't really think. So.
Anyone else? Any more questions? Gotta stop giving it to the people in the back, it's too far to go.
I have a question for the team that thought it was good. Do you feel it's inevitable that it will eventually become all about the CBDC? I don't know what it's called. Do you think it will eventually become that? Like all banks will be just online now? Or do you feel like it would come a threat?
We did masses of research, and in many places it said that it's the future, and we had many examples of countries already looking through it and thinking of implementing it. And I think I think it will come at some point because it's a way of how our economy develops. And I think it will end up being implemented.
You guys?
We also did a lot of research, and we found that like many countries, more like the South America region, they have already implemented that, which is like you're like thinking why this area, because they're like compared to like Europe or North America, they're really underdeveloped. And we found out that they have implemented that, and also China, I think. Was it?
Yeah, we found it was surprising that a lot of people, when we were first researching it, like the first people, like you said, it's like, you're like, what is CBDC and everything? We were looking and we were like, why are underdeveloped countries interested in developing CBDCs or like even just trying it out? Like most countries right now are just trying it out rather than like fully implementing it, testing it out. And we found that it's because they think that it's going to provide, like they said, new economic opportunities, but we find it a bit interesting because we don't know how we're going to supply them with phones, like I have mentioned, and the realistic aspect of that.
So here's one for the teachers who had to help with this. Oh, one more question here, and then we're going to ask the teachers what they thought. Get your answers ready.
So, firstly, I'm sorry for making you working out so much, but my question was, aren't, like, in general, it's also for the public, but aren't we all scared that maybe with the implementation of CBDCs that the government or maybe the apps or the central banking systems that do have those CBDCs will have much more control over the money we have, over the transitions, in general, inflation, taxes? That was literally like the point of the whole debate, to find the goods and the bads. And it is true, the central bank will have access to all transactions and the states of each person's like money and how much they have. And they will have, I think, most of the control. And they have the power to do something with that money, which is not really good. But at the same time, I looked and it says the transparency and it's more safe because you can see the transactions. It is true that there will be much more access than wanted. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, definitely more control would be scary. I didn't bring this up in my speech, but my teacher really wanted me to. I thought it was a little too drab. But in China, the government has started adding expiry dates to the digital currency, so people spend it more instead of saving it, and which ultimately runs the economy better, but it just ruins people's lives.
Yeah. This was not as much probably mentioned in the debate because it comes across more as a privacy concern of individuals, rather than, yes, this transparency will benefit the economy, but it does affect us negatively, because even if you aren't doing illegal activities, it's not nice that all your banking information is just out there for someone to overlook, and your money could expire, like Elon said. That's scary.
So the question to the teachers is, this is probably the hardest question of all the debates that we've had this year. So how did you prepare the kids for it? And last year's winners first, please.
It was really tricky, and we flipped our strategy around, because normally we would come straight in when we're given a motion and just brainstorm all the points that we think could possibly be relevant and then start being selective. Whereas this year, like both teams have already said, we had to learn it. We had to learn, what is this all about? We had to get our heads around really technical vocabulary, you know, starting with just CBDC, but the whole thing. So yeah, sorry, what was the question again? It was a challenge. It was, I think then ultimately it's finding the balance between being able to present the knowledge.
I mean, we can explain it in even half an hour, explain all the details. Plus, there is too much information really available, but it's more speculation than information, because it's all new, it's all in the future, and you could use the very same evidence to prove against and to prove in favor, which we actually more or less did. So this, I think, I mean, I've been doing debates for ages, and this was the most challenging in 10 years that I've done debates. Because first of all, I could not simply supervise my team, I had to learn myself, because they came up to me with the questions, and this was they said, oh no, let me go home and study. So yes, that was really fun. I think we managed to get some sense of it, hopefully. I'm sorry. And I really so admire my team. I mean, I'm so proud of them that we actually managed to get through it together. Well done, your stars.
So do we have any more questions from the audience?
So this is a question more to the debaters. So you have a very technical topic at hand. Like, would you want to do a less technical topic for the final instead? And if so, do you have like an idea for a motion?
I'm not sure about an idea for a motion, but I think it can help, like, if the motion's more like emotional, then you can like really convey it to the audience and the judges, so it's easier to create like a strong argument that like resonates with people. But when it's such a technical topic, it was really hard to try and make it something that like really stuck with people.
We completely agree, and it's also difficult to keep an audience like actually interacted and interested when we're talking about topics that I'm sure no one here really fully understands. And it's a lot of just, because it's theoretical, I think as Fitz mentioned, it's like all going to be in the future. It's also, we found it difficult to like find full statistics and find ways to prove, especially in the case of being like against. It was difficult to find like on the internet, you really had to think for these arguments, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, the first two debates were about things that many people already have prerequisite like opinions about, which were AI and tourism. And then when I saw this one, I was baffled because I knew nothing about it. And it was quite difficult doing the research. And I'm sure all of us still don't have strong opinions. We just did the research on the pros and cons about it.
So pretend your teachers are not in the room. How much AI did you use? They're not here, so you can tell the truth. Any AI research you're going to own up to? An honest lady.
Of course. Yes, of course.
It's just sometimes when I got to the point where the information was so sparse and you needed facts and you couldn't find them anywhere, I went and checked there, and then after I got the information in AI, I went and looked at specific examples on actual websites. So I didn't use like blankly AI. I used it if I got really lost.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think any of us used it to write, but as Arena said, finding the information sometimes was really hard, and it involved you had to look through website after website and rethink, as the other team said, literally what you were trying to find. So it was a really hard topic to research as well.
Okay, thanks guys. Can we give them another round of applause?
Here we come to the interesting point. My goodness, I can see nerves in every corner. I would just go back to start. I'm going to give the secretary 1 or 2 more minutes, but just while we're waiting, I would just like to thank both Harry and Ollie, who's done 2 jobs today, for the photography work. Please, if any of you are interested in having copies of the videos or the photographs, please contact either Viv or Harry before you leave today. Okay, and I would also like just to say a welcome. I don't want to say anything, but he's actually the chairman of all of this year. Mike, Mr. McDade, just standing in the background, just taking in the project. Thank you very much for finding the time to be with us today. Now, my job is just to try and raise all these presentations we've got. Are we ready, ladies? Right, could I ask Izzy and her team to come forward, please? Izzy, and Steve. I know he's already working, so sorry about that, Ollie. You can't please.
Wow. Just wow. Thank you. Thank you to all the students. Those just now actually listening to John and doing the relaxed debate. How many students ask the questions, and that in itself is a testament to this incentive that it's great. I urge all of you, and that's something that actually Ollie said, no, it's worth repeating. What a comfort it is as a mature person here amongst my friends that we have youth coming up to look after us in the future. Your passion, your eloquence, your hard work, I mean hard work, while you've got exams, while you've got all sorts of other things going on in your life. Thank you. I have learned so much today. I think we all have, and on behalf of these judges here, we have really enjoyed this debate. And my goodness, as I said, it is just a couple of things I really want to mention. We've mentioned passion. I have to mention, Antonio, your delivery, your pace as a performer, that's what I look for, and was out of this world. And something, again, the fact that you are all looking at wonderful Harry's video, sorry about my knees in the WhatsApp group, by the way, watching on a bicycle, because I could not catch up with the debates that I've missed. Thank you, Harry, and well done for the schools that are using those videos. I think they're imperative to see the standard. One of the sponsors said she is blown away at how well and how much growth she has seen over the last couple of years, from scribbling down to standing and holding forth strong, speaking so eloquently in what is 90% of these students, not their mother tongue. Remarkable. But we've got to get on, haven't we? She's best debater. 100% enjoyed because of her humour and her personal touch. And we congratulate, for the best debater in the 3rd and 4th teams, Darren. And without further ado, it was very tough because there were a lot of positive things on both sides that were said. The subject matters, I think, are incredibly tough this year, and they did a remarkable job, but the winning team between Bedford goes to Queen's.
Because this is the lady that year on year supplies the whole of the buffet. She doesn't make it herself, she supplies the whole. And one of our main sponsors, the Imperial Properties, business comes first. They were called away urgently, must have been a good deal. Anyway, they're asked if Nikki would present the prize, their prize that they have given this year. So, the prize goes to their team, the fourth prize. Where's is he gone? Where's he gone? Is he? Academy! Academy! Come along, Academy. Well done, guys. I'll tell you what, so much congratulations. Well, so much congratulations, guys.
You smile at Harry first. Now smile at Jack. Perfect. Congratulations.
Is Lisa from IBEX still here? She was called away as well, but I don't know if she's left.
No, she's gone.
Third prize? Are we bringing back Queens? We'd like to invite Queens back for their plaque.
That's it, all of the row,
Yes, absolutely. On to the main debate for first and second. Can I ask Paul Umbridge, please, to join me on the stage with your two team together with Sarah Collett and Carlos Castar.
We paid for this, no? I'm allowed to take it off. Marvellous. Wow. What a finals. What a finals. Congratulations, you guys at Academy and Queens. What a marvellous job you folks did throughout the debate. And as I said at the start, slightly different, isn't it? Standing in front of a classroom of 15 or 20 people versus 150. You all did a marvellous, marvellous job, which made our job really tricky. Thanks for that. So, I just want to pick up on a few of the fantastic points. Clara, beautiful team introduction. How many arguments, folks? No, this is when audience participation comes into the game. How many arguments? Three. I'm going to tell you 3 arguments. Yes? Our team is going to focus on 3 arguments. Julia's going to do this and Ivan's going to do that. Very simple structure. Over here, Arena. Did a super job too. Yeah? The structure was lovely, the flow, the way you set up for these two guys. to come and give the passion. I like passion today. That was good. No, you weren't doing what I'm doing, right? Who saw eye contact? Hands up, please. Yeah, plenty of eye contact, plenty of standing. It's the first time they've used this area. Fantastic. Yes? Very little moving, and what I personally enjoyed, very little reading. Who noticed very little reading? Yes? Brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So some really tremendous, so that's why it was hard. Okay? Really hard. Now, we had to make some sort of choices, and there were certain things. I have a very high factor characteristic, which is, can you get the hairs on the back of my neck to rise? Yeah? Now, who heard the words beacon of hope? Who heard the words transformation versus, what was the rest? Stagnation. Who heard the words progress versus peril? Yeah, lots of those things. So some brilliant speeches today, presentations today. Best debate that is. Well done. You can sit down for now. Great. So, we then have first and second. And this was really tricky. I had it by a point on my card. These guys had it really close as well. Hence why Kate gave us extra time. They normally give us 4 minutes. We had 20 minutes upstairs to go through this. It was really challenging. The winners of the Rotary Debate Competition 2023. Drum roll, please. New York International. Face Harry. Hold on to that, that is yours. In the background somewhere. Don't move. Holly's in charge. The question I'm trying to Great stuff. So, you guys get to come down here with me and pick up the second place. Someone hold it for Mr. Julie. There we go. Well done. Well, congratulations.
Can I ask, I think the teacher, Sally, is here. I think the head of school, Laurie's here as well. The team like to come up and join your team, please, for a photograph. Thank you.
You guys are over for there.
Will you please smile?
So, you guys get to come up back up here. There is one more final piece we need to do. If you can give me the prize, I think we'll do without teachers first and then with teachers, if that's okay. So stand right in the middle. Glad I'm giving this over to you guys. There we go. Got it. Hold on to it. Where do you want me, Ollie? Here?
Ah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Don't look at Harry. Don't look at Harry. Keep telling him.
Right. So the popularity of this competition has grown. Hey, Kate? Or is it Kate walking around everywhere with telling everybody about the competition? But as of yesterday, Kate got a new sponsor, and that new sponsor would like to add a special prize to the winning team. That new sponsor is Mallorca Country Club, and they have, I'll read these out, for each of you, so for 4 people in your team, private tennis lesson with an ATP former player, 4 one-month memberships at the Mallorca Country Club, and then 4 VIP tickets to the Mallorca Championships 2024. One final prize.
Yes, that's it.
We've got one final prize. I will have a very large drum roll on this one because this is Best Debater of the Series 8.
And could we ask our President, Nicola Iden, to come over, please? And our Assistant Governor Majority, please come up as well.
Thank you. It's the prize, which prize? For the best debater.
Good. Beautiful prize over there.
Yes.
We'll bring the prize in. Would you like to say a few words, Nicola?
Yes, of
President
course.
of our
Okay.
club?
I thought I could later.
No,
I wrote it down. I tried my very best. You're the best, better ones. I am impressed. I'm really impressed of the high standard of the debates. And you pupils and you pupils over there as well, you improved, you made a great improvement compared to the previous years. And in terms of complexity of the topics, we just talked about it, in terms of your preparation and your presentation. The expertise, the passion, yes. Even with this theme you had today, and the presentation skills give me a great confidence in your future. The more artificial intelligence enters our lives, the more important human emotions and passions are. Thank you. Brilliant jobs, pupils and teachers. As president, I'm very proud that our Rotary Club, Calgary International, is running this commitment to the education of young people since 8 years. The biggest thanks go to Kate, the coordinator of the school debates, who motivate the participation of schools, teachers, as well as judges, timekeepers, and sponsors. She has all the strings in her hands. Thank you very much.
Interrupt for 1 second. I did say we don't have any flowers at this minute.
And there are 4 other members of our Rotary Club. This is Vivian, Harry, John, and Ron, who's in the UK, who over a month helped and supported these debates with administration, organization, and the videotaping, and you can watch it in at the YouTube, and your parents can be proud of it. It's, by the way, a nice Christmas present, huh? Many thanks go to the judges and to the timekeepers who have generously contribute their time and expertise to ensure the success of the debates. And last but not least, a big thanks to our sponsors, Palma Pictures, thank you, Imperial Properties, eBay tickets, and Nikki tickets, and Mallorca Country Club now, yes, right, and for1st Clinic. Thank you. The Rotary Club would like to thank all volunteers and sponsors with an invitation to a joint lunch. And as you see, all students and pupils, this is it. The school debates are a joint project of all of us and those I just mentioned. And we are carried by the good feeling of supporting you on your way. Thank you for this fantastic competition. Thank you.
I don't know if Mike and flowers go together, but never mind. Here's the biggest announcement without doubt for everyone here and all the others taking part, and that is the best debater of the whole season of 2023. I think we need another drum roll. Yeah. Can you bring the prize over? Got the certificate and the trophy. There. Being a gentleman, no, being a gentleman. There we are. So, the prize goes to Eleanor. Congratulations, Eleanor. Well done, well done.
And one more. And you can make one bigger smile. I knew it. Thanks very much.
And finally, thanks to Clinic Urbanina and another sponsor, and Karen is with us just now. Would you like to come forward, Karen? Because we have a special present from Clinic Urbanina for every member of every team. I will call you up in a second. Would you like to say that?
There's not a lot to add, actually. I think everybody sitting in the room here now agrees with everything that's been said before. The passion, the energy, the lucidity, young people with such amazing presentation skills, and I think it touched the heart of every one of us. So you can all be very proud of yourself. It was a pleasure to listen to. I learned a lot today about the topics that were selected. They were complex topics. You could see that the research had been done. I particularly liked to hear that somebody had looked at AI and then researched to check that what AI had said was actually true, because sometimes it isn't, and I thought that showed wonderful initiative. Also to the organisation, it's been wonderful. So there isn't really anything I can add to Kate. Thank you so much to you, to Harry, to everyone in the room, and particularly a very warm congratulations to all of the students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to give out the prizes. First of all, we'll start with the two teams here, or the teams that are up here, and going in alphabetical order, to be correct. Academy, please come forward. The team from Academy. And the next team here up here, Green Valley, please. Thank you very much. Mallorca International, please. And Queens.
the waste.